In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about sketchbooks. As students and artists, it seems like we always have sketchbooks handy, but if you're buying all your sketchbooks, it can get expensive quickly. I know, as an artist, most of my friends and family always get me these for Christmas and my birthday. They're great, but they're so big, they're kind of frustrating to carry around. So today, I'm going to show you how to take this large drawing pad and make your own handmade sketchbook. Now I know what you're thinking. Buying bookmaking materials can be just as expensive, but I'm going to show you how to make your own sketchbook using this drawing pad and materials that you can most likely find around your house. Materials you will need to make your sketchbook include an 11 by 14 drawing pad, a writing utensil, an X-Acto knife, a cutting mat or a piece of cardboard like this, a ruler, a hammer, one nail, scissors, thread. I like to use crochet thread because it's strong, but it won't be too bulky in your binding. A needle. I like to use tapestry needles because they won't bend or break while you're making your binding. They're also not very sharp at the end. You'll also need a phone book or another soft cover book that you don't use very often. We're going to start our sketchbooks by ripping all the pages out of your drawing pad. Once all your pages are out, you should just be left with the front and the back cover. We're going to be using the back cover for our sketchbook. So to cut it off the spiral binding, you want to make sure you measure so that your new sketchbook will be straight. Once you've successfully detached your back cover, you're going to measure and cut it in half. These two pieces will now act as your front and back covers. When you finish cutting them, you can set them aside. Next, we're going to take the stack of paper we ripped from our drawing pad and fold each one of them in half. Typically, you would use a bone folder to push your crease down harder, but we're going to use something as simple as a pencil. After all of your pages are folded in half, you're going to group them into signatures. A signature consists of multiple sheets grouped together. This helps your book lay flat when it's both opened and closed. You can decide how many sheets you'd like to put in your signature. For my book, I'm going to put 5 sheets in each signature. Once you have all of your signatures, stack them together, making sure that they are aligned on all 4 sides. Next, we're going to make marks for where our binding is going to go. From each side, measure in 3 inches, making a mark at inch 1, inch 2, and inch 3, right at the crease of your signature. Do the same on the opposite side. Making sure that your signatures stay aligned, you're going to take the front or back cover that you made and place it at each of these hash marks, drawing a line on all of the signatures for where your binding is going to go. To help do this, I usually place my thumb down so that my sheets of paper don't move, and then hold the top of my cover. Line it up with the hash mark and draw a line across each signature. Once you have all of your signatures marked, you want to keep them in this order so that your book stays more aligned. Next, we're going to take the top signature and use it to mark our cover with where the binding will go. Before you use your signature, you want to measure a 1/2 inch from the edge of your cover on the side you'd like your binding to go. Instead of drawing a full line down the side, since this will be my cover, I usually just make hash marks. Then you take your top signature and you align it with these hash marks. And you make a mark at the 1, 2, and 3-inch spots that you made first. After you've marked your cover, you would typically take an awl, which is a bookmaking tool, to puncture holes through each of these marks. But instead, we're going to use a hammer and a nail. To do this, place your cover on top of a phone book or another soft cover book. Then, take your nail, place it over one of your marks, and hammer it until you hit the phone book. You don't need to go all the way through, you just need to go until the tip of the nail goes through your cover. After you have holes in your front cover, you're going to align it with your back cover, and you're going to take a nail and pierce holes into it. Then you're going to take your back cover, and just like your front cover, you're going to punch holes in it using your hammer and nails on these pierced marks. Once you've finished putting holes in your cover, you're going to put holes in each of your signatures. In order to do this, you most likely won't have to use the hammer and the nail, and you can just use the nail to puncture through the paper. Once everything is pierced, you're ready to begin binding your book. You want to start by double threading your needle, and then I usually start with about 7 times the length of my book. When you're finished, you can tie a knot at the end. To begin binding your book, you're going to start with one of your covers and your first signature. We're going to be using a Coptic stitch to hold your pages together. And to start your stitch, you'll go through the first hole in your signature. Then, you'll go around your cover and up through the first hole. Next, you'll loop around the stitch that you just made, and go back through the same hole in your signature. Then you're going to go through the next hole in your signature and continue these steps. When you get to the last stitch in your signature, you're going to still go around the cover, around the stitch you just made, but instead of going back into the same signature, we're going to go into the first hole on your next signature. Then you're going to move right to the second hole in your signature. And instead of going around the cover, you're going to go around the stitch below this signature. going to go back through the same hole in your signature. And repeat this process for the rest of your book. Once your thread starts getting short, you can tie off the end and begin a new piece. To do that, go under your last stitch and tie a simple knot. You can trim the end and tuck it under your last stitch. You can begin your new thread in the next hole in your signature and continue through the rest of your book. When you get to your last signature, you're going to start by going through the outside of your cover. Then you're going to loop around the stitch that you just made. And go through your last signature. For the rest of the row, you're going to start by going through the signature, going around the previous signature stitch, through the outside of the cover, around the stitch you just made, and back through the signature. Once you go through the last hole in your signature, you can tie off the end of your string by making a knot, going under the last stitch, you can then trim the end of your string and tuck it under that last stitch.